Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Matt. Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video, folks, I got some Solana NFTs that I think are really undervalued right now. These are projects that, in my opinion, will be worth more than they are today in 3 to 6 months. Now, of course, they could even be worth more than that sooner, but that is just kind of a safety I'm setting up, in my opinion. It may take a couple of months for us to kind of snap back into the bull market. So if you guys are looking for some discounts and some deals, make sure to stick around. Drop a like, subscribe if you guys are new, and let's get right into it. All right, so the first project we have for today is OK Bears. Now, these guys have been around for a very long time, and I'm sure you probably would have expected me to mention them on this list because being at 61 Solana right now, that in my opinion is a steal, given the fact it is extremely likely at some point in the future these guys pump back to a floor of 100. That seems basically inevitable, and when we take a look at the analytics, you guys can see exactly how that happens. So if we go all the way back to say early June, July, whatnot, we can even look back even further if we want, even to when they first came out back in April. You guys will note that they always have these little waves. So they have their main surge up to around 260, but even as they decline, they always have these little waves back up to a higher level of resistance. So you guys can see in early June, they go from 130 all the way up to 160. Same thing here in mid-June, they go from 100 all the way up to 130. Same thing here in late June, they go from being at around 90 all the way up to roughly 130. So these little spikes happen all the time. You guys can see them just by picking through this chart, but I do believe we are overdue for another one of those spikes here in the near future, given the fact that when we check NFT Inspect, you guys can see that OK Bears are the still most popular Solana project out there in regards to the amount of unique profile pictures that are holding them. So right now with OK Bears, there are 3,400 people that are actually using a bear as their picture. That is crazy. That is extremely good. There are tons of people who are still vested in the success of OK Bears. And when we take a look at the listed count, 720 out of 10,000, that is a lot, but definitely not as much as it was in the past. So definitely do keep these guys in mind. I do think this is probably one of the better deals you'll get on them. But before we go any further, do you like NFT whitelists? Because if you do, the Patreon down below is the place for you. I have worked tirelessly to make the Patreon one of the best places you guys could be for NFTs. For only $10 a month, we have an entire team dedicated to finding you whitelists. You guys also get one-on-one access to me, group coaching calls, and so much more. To be honest, guys, it is a steal for the price it's at. If you're looking to take your NFT game to the next level, you guys have to check out the Patreon down below in the description. The next project here is Blocksmith Labs, which actually is a creation by a few members of the DGods team, so definitely does have some reputability there. And take a look, guys, at this amount listed. 67 out of over 4,000 listed. That is extremely good. That is like unheard of in regards to an amount of listings. That's very similar to the ratio that DGods has, and you guys can see how good DGods is performing. So Blocksmith Labs, a team of experienced engineers aiming to solve real problems on Solana while providing utility to our holders, and one of those utilities is Bitfrost. So this is a little look at what they have here. This is basically a kind of launch pad where you can, allocate your mints to the public, whitelists, forge mints, all that. You could apply to be on their launch pad. So you could ask, is there any benefit to Blocksmith Lab holders? And they've answered that by saying yes. You could stake your Blocksmith Labs and you get to mint stuff for free using the forge. More benefits to follow in the future. So very cool to see. Again, this is a very real utility. And when we take a look at their Twitter, these guys are still killing it, man. Still killing it. A lot of people who are still up to date with them, and obviously a lot of partnerships with new projects and things like that. So definitely cool to see these guys really continue to innovate, as so many projects in the Solana industry are not. So definitely a big fan of Blocksmith Labs, and right now with a price of 50, that definitely looks pretty good. Given the fact we look at some analytics here, we're seeing similar trends to OK Bears, especially if you zoom out. So even if we're going back through June and July, every time they have a very slow kind of dip, similarly here in June down to around 50, they rally back up to around 70. So if the same price action is to repeat, we have a dip down around 50. It's very possible in the next month or so they could rally back to 70 at some point. So definitely do keep an eye on these guys, as they're basically doing everything right. Very low amount listed out of a total supply, definitely having some utility here on their website, and of course just a strong amount of community support behind them. Next project here is Dust Crash and CoinFlip. So this is, in my opinion, one of those nicer mid-tier projects that actually has been delivering. So I hold one of these, and I actually was airdropped some Solana as a percentage of the royalties from this projects. So right now, out of a supply of only 999, we have only 27 listed. So very, very low, because if we think about it, if we multiplied this by 10 and gave us a 10,000 supply, that would be 270 out of 10,000. So definitely a very good ratio of listings to total supply. And again, these guys are one of those casinos that looks to be doing better than a lot of other casinos out there. So actually delivering, actually giving holders some kind of royalty there. And I do like the fact that they mentioned they have a 5% house edge here on their Twitter, because in order for these projects to make money, unfortunately, they kind of do have to have some level of house edge. And the thing is, a lot of these projects have it but won't admit it. I like the fact these guys are very transparent looking about this. So 70% of the profits are shared with people, are shared with holders, and it looks pretty easy. You just go on here, you do one of these little crash mini games, and of course you end up getting some Solana for it if you do well. So very, very cool. Again, they show a little bit of footage here how this all turned out, which looks very, very cool. And again, I do think a lot of these casino projects are ultimately going to be good. Dust obviously is the DGods token out there, the token that DGods holders are relying on. So definitely looking forward to seeing projects like this continue as they go on to support the DGods project. Next project here is Kets on Krek, which are, in my opinion, one of the most classic, sort of blue chip profile picture projects out there. I actually picked up one of these around 40, so I am a little bit down on my Ket, which is actually kind of surprising because I did see them going back to 50 or 60 after I first purchased them, but after I made my pick, the rest of the Solana market kind of started going down, and what happens. But I still think these guys are a good buy, especially a better buy at 30 than they were even at 40. So Kets are a project that, again, if we are to look through the analytics here, you guys will see past price trends. Obviously, they do seem to bounce off of the 35 mark often, and here you can see late July, they head from 35 all the way up to around 50, which is really good. Similarly, here in late June, they bounce off of 40 all the way up to around 50, so definitely, in my opinion, way overdue. They have been sitting on this kind of support line of around 30 for a long time, so I don't think they'll be going much lower than 30, and I do think the upside on a project like this is generally pretty big, given the fact that so many people do love and really respect this project. These guys have been around a long time, only 300 listed at 7,000, which is quite good. And of course, if we were to look on NFT Inspect, they usually are doing pretty well on here, and obviously you could go here, you could search for anything you wanted to, but if we were to look for Kets on Krek, you guys can see on Solana here, 2,000 profile pictures, which is a lot. So 27% of all of the NFTs for Kets on Krek are in someone's profile pic. That is nuts. Absolutely nuts. And the final project that I thought looks pretty good is Stoned Ape Crew. So these guys are sitting at a floor right now of around 20, and it looks like the main issue they have run into is the value of their Puff tokens. So sitting here only at 3 cents as opposed to, the 40 or 50 cents it was at in the past. Still, if you believe this project has a strong community, which I do think it does, this is a very cheap price compared to some of the listings in the past and some of the price trends in the past. And you will take a look at the analytics, of course, it probably looks a little bit different than a lot of the other projects, as their decline is just kind of more gradual, and as the value of their token goes down, the price just sort of slips. It doesn't have those bounce backs as much, but again, the price has been basically the same since early August, and hey, if you take a look at their management and believe that there is some opportunity for these guys to come back, then hey, this does look like a pretty good price. The only thing that does alarm me as well, if we were to take a look at the token number and holders, nobody owns over 25 of them. No one. That is a little strange. That's a little strange given the fact normally we do rely on whales to own a lot of them. So again, this is definitely one of my softer picks. I would definitely be a little bit leery, but regardless, I still think it has some potential given the fact there are still only 138 listed out of the 4,000. So not everybody has jumped ship yet. I just believe it is a little concerning with the lack of whale activity and of course the value of their token heading down. So with that being said, folks, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed. Check out my free Discord and my Patreon down below in the description, guys. So many awesome things going on over there. Thank you so much as always. My name is Matt. See you guys on the next one. Peace.